Main Street Media, live from SEC Media Days in Atlanta, is presented by Shelter Insurance of Dixon and Jim Pratt and Heather Clifton. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And in part by Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, Steve Jones Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat, Jeff Eby for State Representative, Red Bird Realty, Porter Brothers HVAC LLC, Area 51 Tech Solutions, Micah Blunt State Farm Agency, Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint, Denton's The TV Store, Fast Stop Markets of Middle Tennessee, C&K Forklift Service and Repair, First Lending Solutions and Pam Witt, and by the Roxy 8 Theater of Dixon. The following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sound 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Sendrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
time in how long you're not coaching football.
Well, I had the year of being out.
Right.
But outside of that, it was 46 years of coaching football. And so, I always told people I grew up in Alabama without air conditioning. I said, the first year I'm not coaching, I'm going to be somewhere cool in August, like meaning climate cool, like Canada.
Like here in Atlanta where it's 100?
Yeah. And so now with this job, I'm going to 14 different institutions and going to watch football practice and be really hot and wanting to coach. So it's going to be a unique feeling come August.
I remember I've written down on this little board over here some of the things I've screwed up on the air. I made the comment when it got out that the Oilers might be moving to Nashville, that hell would freeze over before we would get an NFL team. I have predicted the National League to win the All-Star game each of the last 9 years. And I told you on the air the day after you took the Duke job that it was a mistake, and you proved me dead wrong. How?
Let me tell you about the last one. They were going to send a private plane to pick me up for the interview. I said, no, that's okay. I was driving a white pickup truck at the time, so I drove my pickup truck over the mountain. And the interview was going to be with the president like 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. So I got there. I'd never seen Duke's campus. I got there at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think this had a part of us being successful. I walked that campus. I walked over to the facilities and almost cried. Woo.
It was rough.
It was rough. But I went into the chapel and I ran into a man that I'm very much love now. And I met Oscar, who was the head custodian of the chapel. And I asked him, what do you do? He said, I own the chapel. And he wasn't kidding, because the pride he took and what he told me about working at Duke, and told me about the president, who the president later gave him the Presidential Medal for commitment, dedication, and success as a Duke employee. Man, I just had a feeling that came over me. So I called Karen before they had offered me the job, and I said, I'm going to take this job. And she said, well, have they offered you? I said, not yet, but they will. And it wasn't arrogant. You know how you just know something. But I did drive the truck in case halfway there, if I changed my mind, I wanted to turn around, or if I really hated what I saw, I could go back home.
And you had reason to. Before you ever took the job, I was doing a package of Georgia Tech games, and we played over at Duke in front of my fan club. About 6 people. It was one of the sadder deals that I had seen. So when did you start to say, after you took the job, wait a minute, I can make this work. This is going to be good?
Well, I took 2 things. I first of all hired a good staff. Okay, that you can't win in college football without great assistant coaches and great communication. You've got to say what you mean and mean what you say. So our very first workout, the day we got everybody in, I had the staff to step back and watch. And the people that were running the strength and conditioning program at the time put them through kind of like a morning run. And I stopped it, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes into a 40-minute workout. I called them all up. I called these coaches in because I was making sure they didn't run out the door after what they saw. And I said, you know what, guys? I thought we could help you and teach you a little bit about winning. But I had no idea that we were going to have this much impact. Wow. And they're thinking like, hey, this new guy likes us, you know. And then I said, you guys are the fattest, softest football team I've ever seen in my life. We're going to all go in there and weigh, and then we're going to go to work. And you know what? They hadn't won at home. That was, I don't know, what was my first year? 2008. They hadn't won a home game since September 17th, 2005. They had won 10 games in the previous 8 years. And I said, we're going to go to work. And, man, did we go to work. And we had a great staff. We brought in Noel Durfee and some other strength coaches and people that were great at what they did. That team collectively lost over 500 pounds from the day we reported in August.
Wow.
We opened with James Madison, who had previously won the FCS National Championship and beat them badly. And we had those kids then. They believed in discipline. They believed in conditioning. How do you change a culture? People use that word without knowing what a culture is. A culture suggests a lot of people with similar habits, whether it's eating or what time they wake up or, it's a culture. Well, the culture of Duke football became discipline and conditioning. They started demanding it of each other. They bought into who we were and what we were doing. You're not going to get better unless you practice better. And Coach Aristotle was the first great coach, so you know. He had to be a coach to make the statement, excellence is not an act. We become what we repeatedly do. So he was repping something really good, and we became a good football program.
I'm looking at Watson over there.
He's back?
I don't know. Should we try it?
Watson, can you hear us?
Hey, everybody. You got me?
Beautiful. Watson, first of all, most of you all probably have figured this out. This is one of both Watson and my favorite interviews. One of the all-time good human beings that God ever put on this earth. Watson, say hello to him, then we'll go to the break, and then you get the entire next segment. I promise. Sort of.
David, how are you, man?
Coach Brown, now that I'm looking at you and not George, I'm really happy.
Wow. You that's what I said.
Hey, HBO, man, halfback option. This guy did more to change the game and create completion percentage, coach the quarterback. I mean, what a great history you had yourself coming through the ranks. But thank you for changing the game and making it college football better game.
Well, David, that's nice of you. And I'm just so proud of you through what all you've done here in your years and hope you're really doing well and happy. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, how you've handled it since you've been out, because that was something I had to handle. And so that's something I'm going to hit you with a little bit when we get back. But congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Career, David.
Sounds good. It is great to see you. I'm glad to see somebody kept all their good-looking hair.
Wow.
I keep telling George it's blonde. He says it's white in the picture.
No, that's a nice color of blonde. I really like that.
Hey, Watson, so you'll know, because you may not have heard this, we have already discussed the fact that David, me, Doug Matthews used to do a Saturday show together, and it infuriated Doug. Well, it infuriated Doug that we had the nerve to talk about the Braves during that time.
You know what? We were not smart enough. All we had to do was say Mickey Mantle, Miami, Oklahoma, and then Doug would have been happy to talk about baseball. Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Watson, it'll be all yours. This is one of the greats. David Cutcliffe joining us as we start the show here on Main Street Media Television. You're watching The George Plaster Show.
You know,
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty. Buying or selling a home.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links. We are back. Billy Derrick will have the floor for just a second, and then Watson Brown will take over with David Cutcliffe. Round two. Round one was fun. Round two is going to be even better. Go.
No doubt about it, George. But first, let's talk about Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset, the Justin Tucker team. Call them at 615-906-8458.
Okay, let's send it up to the plateau. Watson, I promise to stay out of this. How long do you think I can keep the promise?
30 seconds.
Go.
You
It's
know
all
George all too well, right?
Go. It's all yours.
David, I know it was hard for me when I got out, and it's been 6 years now since I've been out. And I tried to stay involved some way athletically, football-wise. And I traveled with ESPN and was an analyst for 3 years, and then really been with George the last 3. Did you think about that before you took this spot? I knew you were going to maybe go to Texas as a possibility, and now with the SEC. Did you think that out and know that you were going to deal with it? How did you handle it?
Well, first of all, when you get ended before you're ready to be ended, you have to really manage yourself there.
Yeah.
And so that shock, I never believed in being just reactionary. I wanted to think a little bit, and I had people calling me, offering me jobs. I knew I didn't want to be anybody's analyst. I don't know what an analyst does exactly, but I wasn't going that route. I talked to some NFL teams that I just wasn't overly impressed with the organization, and obviously I wouldn't say who. But and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Greg Sankey calls, and he said, "I've got an idea. I wish you would hear me out." I talked to Charlie Hussey, the deputy director, and they put together a little job description. And I said, "Well, that all maybe sounds good, but I'd like to see you guys in person." So I flew to Birmingham. And I've always told young people, Watson, I'm sure much like you, choose people, not places.
Yes.
And positions. So I really like the people. I like Greg Sankey. I love the team he's put together. He surrounded himself with winners. And, college football maybe needs a little insight from a coach or former coach now that can kind of tell them or help avoid the laws of unintended consequences that occur, right? You know what I'm saying with these decisions.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy with it, mostly because I'm not just involved and still around college football, that maybe I can contribute some small little piece to being a little better with what we need to see done.
Yeah. David, to me, Greg, making this position possible is fantastic. I think it's a great idea. And second, hiring you, there couldn't be a more perfect guy that's been on both sides of the fence, assistant head coach, and being a guy that always tried to do things right and tried to do things to make things better. So I think you're a perfect hire first. And then second, just having the position, I think is brilliant on his part. Exactly what are you going to be doing? How is he going to use you, David?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to all the institutions. I went in spring ball. I'm sitting down with coaches one-on-one. I've sat down with them collectively. We've got a little joint, text group that we all kind of keep each other informed. And I'm meeting with all the directors of football operations. If you want to talk to somebody to know what's going on in a program and what's missing or what's being needed. So I've developed a relationship with those folks. I'm going to continue to grow that. I want to be an advocate for coaches. I want to think like a coach, but I also want to be a conduit between the office and the coach in the office, and trying to help build trust there, because we're in a tough time. And that's just part of it. The other part is participating in some of these committees and things, as far as you get into the way the NCAA legislation or the governance is put together. The higher you go up the food chain to decision makers, the further you get away from anybody that's ever had any boots on the ground, ever really worked with student athletes, with players, and if you will, in the football world. And so I've already had one meeting last week with a national committee, and I wasn't going to stay silent. When they were missing the mark, and I don't mean to be arrogant, but like you would know in a meeting when they said something that's outlandish as far as being functional with players and coaches. And so I was very appreciative that I think they listened. And so we got another meeting coming up, and then we're going to do one in August in person. And Commissioner alluded to, all of these problems are complex. But I think having a coach that I've served on enough committees, I understand the administrative issues, the legal issues, so I'm listening to them, but I hope they continue to listen to the voice that I'm supposed to have of players and coaches, first players, because sometimes what seems to be best for them isn't. That locker room consists of a lot of players, not just stars. And so that's kind of what I'm doing, and we're painting the picture as we go. I want to say this real quick about Coach Brown. He was good enough to let me come into Rice and visit and get on the inside in meetings and learn from him. We weren't head-to-head enemies at that time at all. You couldn't stop his offenses, but that was one of the more memorable growing experience for me in all of my trips. I made a point. I visited Bill Walsh and the 49ers, and I spent a lot of my own money and time going around trying to learn from the best. And I did not have a better trip anywhere than Rice University with head coach Watson Brown. And I mean that. I really do
cool.
Appreciate that.
David, that's neat of you to say that. I remember that like it was yesterday. Isn't it amazing?
I do too, but I'm telling you, it had a huge impact on me. You were not a good football coach. You're a great football coach. And you and I had one thing in common. we found a way to take jobs that were hard to win.
You're a little younger than me, bud. You just followed me.
Yeah, I feel. Hey, he's great. This is my idol. I'm going to go right behind Watson.
So I get blamed.
Yeah, no, but you know, like I know, to help young people grow on and off the field, to find a way to have some success where maybe it hasn't been prevalent, is more rewarding than anything else you can do in sports. It really is, and I really do appreciate your career.
Well, thank you, David. And my wife says you're nothing but an underdog. That's all you are. She said I married an underdog, but I agree with you 100%. Football's football. Oklahoma, you were at Tennessee, you go to Duke.
Yeah,
football's football. And you were a high school coach. I was on the Division II level. I mean,
yes.
What I learned was it don't matter. It's all the same. Coaching's coaching. Players are players. The higher level, better player, if you want to say that, is no different than the Division II guy.
No,
it's coaching kids. And honestly, David, that's the part I miss, and I think that's what you'll miss.
No question. But you said something. Go ahead.
I said I missed the camaraderie of game plans with coaches, and I miss the kids. Just the kids.
Yeah, you that's it about it. It's not the first downs or the touchdowns.
No.
It's the relationships. But you just said something extremely important that's no different from Division II to the highest level, Oklahoma, or, where you were and where I was. Well, we got to maintain that.
Yeah.
We don't want a group playing for money and a group playing for the love of the game, because we're going to lose the value that you got as a player. Okay, we'll lose that value that football gives young people. We can't do that. It's not fair to those players for it to turn into something that it's not. So that's why I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing, because you're right. Football is football at the high school level, at any division. And teammates, and I believe this: the best thing anybody can ever say to a former football player is to come up and say, "Hey, man, you were the best teammate I ever had."
Yeah.
What could be said better? Not that you scored more touchdowns than anybody else. You were absolutely the best teammate I ever had. I don't want to see that lost in the locker room.
Boy, David, just stay on that, because I think that's it. When I hear coaches now say, when we're in the transfer portal, the first thing they ask me is, how much money am I going to make? That's a different world now. They used to say, where do I fit in? Does the offense fit me? Are we going to win? Can I get around the team a little bit, teammates, and see what kind of culture you have? And when the first question now is, how much money am I going to make? Man, that throws a red flag up to me.
Yeah, and I don't think that those programs or those young people will be successful with that path. And I think it's unfair to that young person that they're faced even thinking that, and they have outside influences that are pushing it. That's not okay. You choose people, you choose a program for the culture, for your teammates, for the opportunity you may have to have a great career that you earn. Name, image, and likeness is okay. That means you have a great name and an image and a likeness that somebody else is making profit off of. You should experience that, but it should not be an offer. It should not be a reason for a high school player or a transfer to choose a school. We're not the NFL. Don't want to be and don't need to be. So we'll see what happens. We got a lot of work to do.
Well, thank goodness you're part of this, and right there in the middle of this as a coach in the SEC. I thought this was a fantastic hire when I saw it. I say perfect guy, because you've seen it all. And you care about the kids, and you care about football. And there's not enough that do that. I'm not taking shots at anybody, but David, there's not enough that feel that way. And I've always thought you're one of those guys.
Well, thank you very much. You know, when Coach Brown and I got in the game, George, I never asked Johnny Majors what he was going to pay me. I didn't know it was basically nothing. And you know what he told me, Watson? You'll appreciate this. He said, I don't think it's healthy for a young single assistant to be making too much money. So we were out recruiting about 2 years later when the bump hadn't really come, you know. And I said, Coach Majors, I don't think I have thanked you properly. He said, for what? And I said, well, I am the healthiest football coach in all of college football. And he looked at me. I didn't know if he was going to kick me out of the car or fire me. He said, I hear you. I hear you. You know, I think I got all the way up to $21,000 a year at that point. So.
Oh, man. That sounds, I can see him right now saying that. I mean, we both knew him so well.
Yeah.
And what a good man he was and a character. I just
very
day when I was around him was a different day. Have I got time for another one, George?
I don't. We're getting the signal that we got to go to the bullpen. He's got another one of these to do. He stuck around with us for 2 segments. Tell us why.
Well, because I love you guys. I do. I'm at home. And everybody wants to be on Main Street, baby. We got to be on. I grew up back street, David, and now I'm on Main Street. I'm in a good spot.
That's got to be a promo, doesn't it?
There you go.
Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate
you
it.
are awesome.
You are. You're a Hall of Famer, period. Same. You are too, Watson Brown. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, David. Good luck, man. If anything I can ever do, holler.
I'll be hollering.
So much fun to have David Cutcliffe on with us. We'll go to the break, and we'll be back.
How do you measure success? In points? In wins? Or trophies? At Shelter Insurance, we measure success in the quality of our products and services, in our community support, in being there when you need us most. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, see agents Jim Pratt or Heather Clifton in Dixon.
At Porter Brothers LLC, we look forward to discussing your plans, resolving concerns, and making improvements to the comfort, health, and efficiency of your home. With the right system operating at its best, you save money, better enjoy the living environment, and increase the value of your investment. We handle all makes and models for seasonal HVAC maintenance and repairs and offer free estimates on replacements. Call us today at 615-446-8067. 615-446-8067.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
As a 2-term county commissioner, we built the County Justice Center and the Burns Middle School, all while maintaining a budget surplus. We were able to secure additional funding for all of the volunteer fire departments to get the vital equipment that they need to do their job. I fought on the front lines in Iraq. With your vote, I'll fight on the front lines in our community to give you a voice. Let's do this together.
Paid for by Jeff Eby for State Representative, District 69.
Area 51 Tech Solutions is focused on expert service with quality parts at an affordable price. Their passion is custom-built gaming desktop computers, virtual reality setups, and gadgets, but they also specialize in servicing and repairing all major brands of electronics, including computers, tablets, cell phones, HD TVs, and game consoles. Based in Dixon, they service Middle Tennessee from Clarksville to Murfreesboro and Portland to Columbia. Call them today at 615-379-8113 or visit area51techs.com.
When you think about buying a new or pre-owned car, you might immediately feel anxious about pushy sales staff and being forced into a decision that might not be the right one for you. Our team at Steve Jones Automotive in Dixon is nothing like that. We want to help you find the perfect car, not just the first car you test drive. When you visit our dealership, you'll also see the pricing up front without having to haggle or ask for a special discount. We want to earn your business for life. Come experience the progressive car buying experience with no pressure at Steve Jones Automotive in Dixon, Tennessee, just a short drive from Nashville and the surrounding area.
Founded in 2005, Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, has a reputation of consistently offering the lowest possible rates and, above all, providing outstanding customer service. Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, takes pride in treating our clients with honesty and integrity. We provide excellent service and experience you can trust for all your mortgage needs, proudly serving all of Tennessee. Apply today. Call Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, 858-518-1506, or online at www.firstlendingonline.com.
NMLS number 314276, ID 135932.
Well, there are certain times where you ought to pay your employer for the job you do. And the last 40 minutes with David Cutcliffe has been absolutely that. Watson, you want a great story on him?
Sure, absolutely.
So Billy just heard this a couple of minutes ago. About 5 days after Ole Miss let go of David Cutcliffe, and clearly a lot of us that know him thought it was a dumb move, and I think history has proven that, you know what, they could have done a whole lot worse than David Cutcliffe. So Doug Matthews and me are coming down here for the SEC title game, and we're going to do a Saturday morning show. And Friday night we have dinner with David Cutcliffe. And about 30 minutes into the conversation, and we're getting into, you know, what went on at the end and all this kind of stuff, my phone rings. It was a flip phone. And on the other line is Kevin Stallings, who says to me, I know you know David Cutcliffe. Do you have any way to reach him? And I said, well, hold on here just a second. I said, tell me what's up. And he says, well, my athletic director, when I was at Illinois State, who then became the AD at Indiana, wanted to talk to David about the Indiana job. And so before I turned the phone over to David, before I hand it to him, I said, now look, I said, if you take this job, I get a finder's fee.
Oh, that's how it works.
Well, and needless to say, it did not happen because of health issues. If you remember, he ended up taking the Notre Dame offensive coordinator job and then had all of the heart issues.
Yeah.
And ended up sitting out a year.
Yeah. And I would bet you David's losing this weight because of his heart issues is part of it. And I didn't get to ask him any of that, but I'll bet you that's part of it, George, that he's got to take care of himself.
Well, you know, the line he used, that the cardiologist told him, if it tastes good, spit it out. It's the best line I have heard this entire week in Atlanta. So, Watson, I'm sorry we weren't able to get you on in the first segment, but did I not tell the truth that I would stay quiet?
And you did.
How about that?
You were a good camper. I'm glad we straightened you out a little bit.
He's a happy camper.
He's a good and a happy camper. He made me a happy camper, and he's a good camper.
So Billy's got a read to do, and then, Watson, we're going to do what we normally do at the start. When I realized that David Cutcliffe was available and willing to do two segments, I made an administrative decision, which was screw the update.
Smart call.
Yeah.
George, let's get to that update. It is brought to you by Sumner Funeral. This 4 o'clock hour is presented by Sumner Funeral and Cremation. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need, now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified.
Item number 1.
George, we start. Let's see, where are we starting? We're starting in college football. George, Brent Zwerneman has reported that Texas A&M senior wide receiver Aniyah Smith, who had been scheduled to appear tomorrow here in Atlanta for SEC Media Days, was arrested early this morning on charges of driving while intoxicated, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and marijuana possession. So I hate to start the update with a little bit of a downer, but crazy story.
Well, I told Brent Zwerneman earlier today, Watson, in the free meal line for lunch, that, Sankey needs to talk to you before he ever gets up there and says it's been a quiet week, because Brent has a way of seeing to it that quiet doesn't stay quiet.
Oh, never know when that's coming. That was one of the things that was one of the things as a coach, guys. Boy, if that phone rang at 2 a.m, it never was good. No.
He was a team captain last year, really good receiver. So we'll have to see if he's able to get on the field and win. He may even at all be able to get on the field this year.
I doubt you'll see the young man.
That's tough.
Item number 2, or if you'll press your SAP button, numero dos.
Numero dos, George. Number 2, the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips has come out and said everything is on the table. He made his plea earlier today for a version of college sports that panders to more than just a select couple of powerful conferences. Speaking at ACC Media Days, he said that any new structure in the NCAA must serve many, not a select few. So Jim Phillips wants to get in on the party.
Okay, Watson, let's talk about that for a minute, because I think we all see what's going on. It's 2 big boys who have a little bit of a, it feels like the bullies, just sort of stepping on the little guy. Do you think that in any way this all getting out as early as it has maybe stops it from feeling like that long term?
Oh, I think that is long term, guys. I mean, it's going to be 2 big boys or 3 big boys, and the ACC is trying to be the 3rd big boy. I'm not sure that it'll happen. The only merge left I see where they might get in the picture is to add some Pac-12, not Big 12, but Pac-12 teams, and land Notre Dame. That's it. If they don't do that, I don't think they survive, and then there's going to be picking coming from everywhere from that conference.
Watson, yesterday you were not on at the very beginning. We read a story in the update about Notre Dame. Dennis Dodd, who is a terrific reporter for CBS, put this out here, that Notre Dame is going to want $75 million a year from NBC when the contract expires. And my opinion is NBC ought to tell Notre Dame to go shove it. They don't get enough of the big Notre Dame games. They get a lot of the Louisville and Army and Air Force and Marines. That thing's not worth that kind of money.
You're talking about, you're saying NBC should not do this.
That's
what you're saying?
Yeah, if Notre Dame is going to ask for the kitchen sink, then the deal needs to be that NBC gets the big games.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt they would get all games if they pay that kind of money. And that's still on Notre Dame's part, George, taking a $25 million cut. If you go to the contracts are going to be $105 million in the Big Ten and the SEC. So Notre Dame is trying their best. They're willing to take a $25 million cut to stay independent. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if NBC gets it, they're going to have total rights. There's no way they get part games to give $75 million.
Billy, let's go pro football.
Let's go to pro football, George. Big football day. Earlier today, Adam Schefter tweeted that Jimmy Garoppolo has permission to seek a trade. Jimmy G's agent, Don Yee, and Carter Chow gave him permission to seek a trade, according to sources, and he's been cleared to start practicing. So what's going to happen with Jimmy G here?
Well, Watson, is there a team that you've got in mind that you say this is the perfect fit?
Nope. I don't know that with the injuries, I think he's a backup right now, guys. Just that his health, he's struggled with health in recent years. He's just coming off and now coming back to where he can practice. I don't see anybody taking that chance. They might take him as a backup, knowing he might move up as a starter. And I don't know where this will go. Why why would the 49ers wait this late? Why would you? Do you
because
think
of the surgery.
You think they just had to prove that he was well before they could stick him out there? Do you think that's what it is?
Yep. Let me ask this, Watson. Is it possible that the best option for the 49ers is still Jimmy Garoppolo?
Maybe. I don't know. Are they really trying to get rid of him, or are they trying to see what they can get? If they can't get everything that they want, meaning a couple of players or whatever from it, they keep him. That's not fair to Jimmy, to me. I haven't heard Jimmy speak yet about this, and I'm anxious I know the kid, and I know him decent. 4 years of playing against him or coaching against him and talking to him before and after games or whatever, conference preseason get-togethers. He's a first-class kid and not a kid anymore. But I'm anxious to see how Jimmy handles this.
There's one more, the passing of Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Charles Johnson at the age of 50. No release of what caused the death, but some sad news coming out of Pittsburgh. Watson, the sad news coming out of Atlanta is that you and I, have stat of the day coming up.
Hadn't been going real well, has it?
Oh, I don't know. Yesterday was not half bad.
No, real good. We got down to the last one.
We sure did.
And honestly, Billy did try to help us. We're just idiots. He said as far south as you can go. I mean, duh.
Well, let me put it this way. It was more successful than the plaster bet of the day.
Well, true. I didn't bring that up. You did.
Thank you. Stick around. We've got more coming. Stat of the day is next here on Main Street Media Television.
How do you measure success? In points? In wins? Or trophies? At Shelter Insurance, we measure success in the quality of our products and services, in our community support, in being there when you need us most. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, see agents Jim Pratt or Heather Clifton in Dixon.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Don't overpay for your next home entertainment system. Visit the folks that have been selling, installing, and repairing TV, stereos, and more for the last 40 years. Denton's, the TV store in Dixon, has the largest selection of high-end TVs on display. Denton specializes in professionally designed unique TV, audio, and video systems for the whole house, man cave, or outdoor space. Stop by in the Dixon Plaza across from Kroger or call 615-446-2222. Denton's, the TV store. It's in the name.
At Redbird Realty, we are committed to providing you with the highest quality service in not only finding your cherished home, but also a wise investment. With over 27 years experience in the real estate industry, we offer high quality service and we treat our clients the way that we would like to be treated. When you're ready, we would appreciate the opportunity to learn more about your real estate needs and answer any questions you may have. Call us at 615-476-2879. 615-476-2879.
With 14 locations across Tennessee, family-owned Fast Stop Markets knows you need simple. The one-stop shop for fuel, food, and more now offers Fast Stop Perks, an easy-to-sign-up rewards program that turns your purchases into points that you can spend like cash. You can also win prizes, join clubs, and save big. Get your Fast Stop Perks card at checkout or download the Fast Stop Perks app to start earning your points today. Fast Stop Markets, keeping you moving.
C&K Forklift Repair understands that a non-working forklift puts a hold on your team's ability to do its job. Our certified technicians work quickly and efficiently 24 hours a day to repair and provide maintenance on your forklift using only high-quality replacement parts. With over 15 years experience, C&K Forklift Repair also provides training and instruction for forklift operators covering all of Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. Give us a call, 615-651-2735.
State Farm Agency Micah Blunt is proud to bring you live coverage from SEC Media Days. Micah was born and raised in Tennessee and takes pride in providing the highest degree of protection for all customers. State Farm offers auto, home, and life insurance at the price you can afford. Located in Dixon, Tennessee, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Give Micah and his team a call today to help with all of your insurance needs. Serving all of Tennessee, call 615-229-2999. That's 615-229-2999.
This is day number 3 of our coverage from SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame. And what do we have now, Billy?
George, we've got Stat of the Day, and it is, as always, powered by John English Antique Sports and Cards. There it is. They are specializing in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. Visit them in Shelbyville. They're open Tuesdays through Fridays, noon to 5 p.m., and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. JohnEnglishGradedCards.com. And, George, we've got the Stat of the Day coming right up.
We are 1.05 out of 2 this week.
All right, George.
Mm-hmm.
Stat of the day. In the last 50 seasons, there are 3 teams that have had more than 50% of their seasons result in at least 10-win seasons. Who are they? And, George, this is in college football. If I'm not mistaken, I need to double-check that.
Because if it isn't, Watson, we could go with the Washington Senators.
That's a pretty big part of it.
Go on forever.
Yeah. So, Watson, let's you and I talk through this before we give Billy any answers. Okay. So 3 teams have been at a point where they have won 10 or more games.
Okay. It is college football, George.
Okay. We're eliminating Nebraska, I think, Watson, because of the recent downturn that they've had.
Yep.
Okay. Let me ask this. Would Alabama be there given the post-Bear Bryant slump they went through?
It was a pretty good slump. I was there. That's when I was at UAB.
And you are right about that, George. Alabama, you can check that one off.
I thought that's right. That was a pretty good slump. It was probably 10 years.
So 1 down, 2 to go.
You're saying Alabama's one of them?
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay. Watson, let's you and I talk this one through. One of your former schools, Oklahoma.
That was the one I was going to bring up.
And you're right about that.
We got 2 out of 3?
2 out of 3. Oklahoma is correct. You got 1 more. Could this be the moment?
Watson, let's you and I talk this. Billy, don't say anything yet. The obvious one in the last 10, 12 years would be Ohio State, but they went through a drought where Michigan drubbed them, got John Cooper fired when he went 0-7-1 against the Wolverines. Do we eliminate them?
I probably would. Southern Cal, Notre Dame, we should talk those 2.
Okay. So we'd be going back to 50 seasons, 1972-ish.
Yep.
Man, they had some good years, didn't they?
Yeah, both of them.
Do you want to? Which one of the 2 do you want to go with?
I don't know. And before I just brought those 2 up. Now you see, is there one more we could talk about? Is there another team? Texas, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Think North.
Mac didn't win 10, but a couple that many times. So
think North.
I don't think Michigan did.
One of the 2 super conferences.
With new teams in it or old teams in it?
The old traditional teams.
Old
Watson,
super conference.
would Michigan fit that? Would Penn State fit that?
Oh, you are so close.
Gosh.
God just doesn't want y'all to get a stat of the day.
Let's hear it.
We got to get going anyway, but it's Ohio State.
Oh, my goodness.
Y'all cannot buy one.
Oh. Watson, I think we give ourselves half credit on Ohio State. At least we brought it up.
We talked about them. We just didn't finish the job, did we, bud? We got ourselves open. We didn't make the layup, George.
Okay.
We got to the goal. We didn't make the layup.
A disappointing end to a great first hour of the show. Welcome in, by way of the music, to hour number 2. The defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs were front and center stage this morning here at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. And you can imagine where all of this started with Kirby Smart, who finally got the better end of his old boss when he beat Nick Saban in the title game. So Georgia will now try to defend that national title, and they will open on Labor Day weekend Saturday against Oregon, which is now coached by a former Georgia assistant. So I've stalled around a lot. Billy, you give me either thumbs up or thumbs down, and when you're ready, then we'll be ready.
George, you can go ahead and get to it, but Georgia is presented by Lee Realty, powered by Keller Williams. I will give you more information on them in a little bit, but for now, let's hear from Kirby Smart.
Let's hunker down, you dogs.
How do you keep that kind of hungry mentality and make sure that the team has that mentality when they're coming off a national championship?
Well, you don't change. You don't change who you are. You don't change the way you go about things. You know, there's no stone left unturned when you're the leader of the organization. You're trying to always be relevant. You're trying to stay on top of things. You're trying to monitor things. You're looking for a better way to do things. You know, I was very fortunate to work for one of the best in the business at doing it after winning one, and a lot of those same habits we had already created. So the question and narrative is, you just won one, you know, how things change. Well, we had 5 straight years of finishing in the top 7. Those were pretty good years. We had to come back after those good years. We lost good players those years. So I'm looking at it as we're going to continue to do the same things we do, but how do we refine the process? How do we do the process better this time than we did last time? That's what we're trying to do.
To your left, Coach, 4th row.
Jacob Goins, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. The Auburn and Georgia rivalry has become one of the best and always has been one of the best in college football. What do you expect to see from Brian Harsin and Auburn in year 2 and the matchup between you guys in week 6?
A lot of respect for Coach Harsin, a lot of respect for Auburn University, and it's probably where I grew up in Bainbridge was closer to there than anywhere other than maybe Florida State. So got a lot of respect for that rivalry game. It's one of the first games I remember going to as a child, being on the sideline and seeing Pat Dye before the game, before they played Georgia. It was cool for me growing up, a high school coach's son, because I got to go to both those games, home and away. So respect the rivalry, expect it to continue that way, and looking forward to an opportunity to play them, obviously at our place this year.
Can you talk about how challenging it is to have to play a good team twice in one season? And do you feel like maybe the SEC championship game loss provided a blueprint for you to game plan in the national title game against Alabama?
Well, I think it's really hard to play anybody twice, especially the team that won the first game, because just the mental part of, the human nature is to relax if you think you're better than somebody or you've beaten somebody. And the underdog opponent is always going to have some kind of competitive mental advantage if you allow them to. I think I told somebody we were maybe favored in every game last year. I don't know about the last game, but I know we were favored in almost every game. So psychologically, that can wear on you if you don't prepare the right way mentally. But I don't think having played that SEC game the first time gave us some blueprint for the second game. I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest difference was our ability to stop people on third down, because when you don't stop them on third down, you play too many snaps. And we played really well in the red area where we didn't do that well in the previous game.
To your right, Coach, 3rd row.
Morning, Coach. Wes Blankenship on 3. When it comes to recruiting, is that something that came naturally to you early in your career, or did you had to learn from other coaches, refine that, and pick that up as you kept going further into your career? And if you can remember, how did your first attempt at recruiting a player go?
Man, you're going way back. I think you evolve as a recruiter, right? So you don't just stay the same. If you stay the same, you get passed by. So it's really cool when you think about I feel like I've been recruiting forever, and I'm 46. So my first job, I got cut by the Indianapolis Colts. I was recruiting for Georgia in 1999, I think it was, maybe 2000. I'm recruiting there, and I'm relatively young, and I was a different recruiter then than I am now. But my first recruiting story was probably at FSU. It was about Ohio State. We had to recruit kids, but it wasn't as high profile. You had to wait and see where kids went. But I was a GA at FSU, and a coach told me one time, he said, "You want to be considered for an assistant coach job? You want to be treated like an assistant coach? Dress, act, and recruit like one. And when you're a GA, nobody will treat you like a GA." He said, "They'll treat you like an assistant coach if you act, behave, and present yourself that way in everything you do, whether it's shaving before work, whether it's how you dress." And I thought, okay. So I approached it like I was an assistant coach. And I remember I recruited a kid out of Jacksonville, Florida. I think he played at Mandarin High School, but Tony Carter. I started recruiting him. I was allowed to go work camps, so I went and worked a camp he was at. I got to be around him for 3 or 4 days. I got a really good relationship with him. I was a graduate assistant at FSU, and I ended up signing him, and he was a top player in the country. And it let me know, it gave me the confidence that, you know what, I can go against these other coaches, even though I'm a graduate assistant. I think I've got a good bond with players. I played the position, and it was my first real recruiting battle. And he's now a coach, so he stays in touch. He comes and visited, and he played the NFL for about 10 years. But he's a great young man, and he's my first recruiting story.
Third row, and then pass your microphone one over. Okay.
Hey, Coach. Georgia Chambers, WFF 48 in Huntsville. Some players said that the team buy-in from last season set last season apart from others. Is there anything in particular that you credit this to?
Yeah, I've talked a little bit about it, about the skull sessions and the commitment we had to our kind of team DNA. So we spent a lot of time last off season coming off of the COVID season on bonding as a team. We sacrificed a lot of meeting time on football to say, you know what, let's just get in these groups and have these open sessions and have these hot mic sessions where you can come in and talk about anything you want to talk about and get to know somebody. And I don't know, the players really bought into it, and they don't do it unless you do. So we had, I don't know what you would call them, informational packets each week. The coaches had to present this material, almost like a curriculum, like you're teaching a class. And I thought that the coach buy-in made the players buy in. Therefore, there was this really great connection that the players enjoyed being around. They embraced that. They thought that was a weapon, like a pass play.
We're going to stay on the third row.
Hey, Coach. Mary Alex Anders, WSWG. So even after the success Georgia had last year, how do you think that Stetson can grow as a quarterback going into the season?
Well, he can be a better leader. He can make more plays with his feet. And I think when you put someone in the role as the quarterback and they're the starter, they immediately get some credibility. He probably didn't have that credibility this time last year. He had not been put in that role. He's earned that role. He's earned the right to start. He's embraced it. He takes that responsibility head on, and he chose to come back, after winning a national championship and said, I want to go do something special. I want to go play football. I want to enjoy the game. I think it's just kind of who he is, and the biggest thing he can do for us is make sure that he's throwing more touchdowns than he is interceptions. That's what I tell him all the time. Keep that touchdown-interception ratio the right way and make plays. He's got a lot of good players around him.
So that was Kirby Smart, the head coach at Georgia. And George, Kirby has been presented by, as we get everybody else back in here, Georgia is presented by Lee Realty Group. They have officially teamed up with Keller Williams Realty. They are still locally owned and operated, but now associated with one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. And George, Lee Realty Group has done tremendous work, not only in the mid-state, but really throughout the Southeast. And call Keller Williams Lee Realty Group in Dixon, Tennessee. Let experienced agents help you with your real estate needs. Call them today at 615-446-2006. That's 615-446-2006. They service all of Middle Tennessee. Visit their Facebook page at Keller Williams at Lee Realty Group.
Watson, several years ago, I was able to bring Kirby Smart to Nashville for one of our old Music City sports festivals and got to know him a little bit. Was happy for him that he was able to knock down that door. You know, now it's all fun and games. They've won a national title, but around January 1st, there was a pressure on him and a pressure on that program that if they didn't deliver the goods, when were they ever going to knock down that door?
That's a big door, George. Not many people win national championships, and that's so much goes into that, much less having really good players. But, I mean, you've got to be so lucky through the year in health and ball bouncing your way and critical decisions late in games. I mean, there is so much to win a national championship. I think people think, well, Alabama and Georgia, it's like Mac always said, Texas, even at Oklahoma, I would hear, yes, you've got to be at one of those schools to have a shot. Yes, I agree, but that don't mean you win one. And he deserves it. They worked hard at it. Like he said, they've been in the top 7 a bunch of times. But getting through that door is so much harder than people think it is.
Watson, he said all the right things today about we're not going to be complacent, but I've seen too many championship level teams that when they try to come back and do it again, it happens. So as a coach, how do you stop it from happening?
I think it's easier in today's world, and here's why. His team's different. He had 15 guys go to the NFL. Off of that team. That's a bunch. You've had transfers out, transfer in. There's not going to be a bunch of guys, George, that were major playmakers last year that are going to be the major playmakers this year. There are some. His quarterback is one. But I think he gets to go into it. You guys didn't do this. So let's see what you do with it now and where you take this. I promise you that's the approach he's going to take.
Billy, pull up that schedule again of the defending national champions. Georgia opens about a block from here. Mercedes-Benz already sold out for that kickoff classic. Oregon, coached by one of his assistants who knows him well. As you look at that schedule, Watson, obviously, you know, when you end up at some point having to play Alabama, and they might come SEC title time, what problems do you see in that schedule?
I think this is a great schedule because look at the away games. The SEC guys usually play 4, sometimes 5. You can count Oregon as not an away game in Atlanta, Georgia, with Athens an hour down the road. So they go to South Carolina, to Missouri, to Mississippi State, to Kentucky. They're set up pretty good, guys.
They really are. I mean,
yeah.
Not that I
go
totally
look at some of the others. Go look at some of the others. Go look at Alabama's and see where they go. To me, in the SEC, those good teams, where do they hit the road? Because they don't go on the road very much. They play home games all the time. Where do they hit the road to? And they're going to be conference games. And this is a good road schedule right here.
Well, you're absolutely right. And if you want to look for a recipe for failure, it's the SEC team, and it happens about once a year, that has to play 3 conference games in a row on the road. There is no way to make that work.
That's tough. That's really tough. I don't care who it is. That's tough.
Atlanta Falcons would have trouble with that. Okay, that's a little bit of the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. When we come back, we'll talk about one of their rivals to the south that has a new football coach. This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media Television.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
I think journalism is like politics. It's all local, and I think Main Street Media has really hit on something that I've been preaching for 50 years. And keep the news local, right? Local stories for local readers, and that's what I like about Main Street Media. I finally found somebody who agrees with me philosophically about concentrate on local subjects, local topics, and you'll bring your readers in.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
We are back. Back as in College Football Hall of Fame down in Atlanta, Georgia, where the SEC Football Media Days are underway. We're going to talk Florida Gators, one of the real disappointments a year ago, and it got Dan Mullen fired. But first, Billy, what do you got?
First, George, Complete Service Heat and Air sponsors our 5 o'clock hour. And let's see here. They can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air throughout these hot summer months. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. They do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call them at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
When you go back to a year ago, can you think of a fall from grace quicker than Dan Mullen? Florida was off to a good start, and all of a sudden the bottom fell out. And by the time we got to November, it was a fait accompli that there would be a coaching change in Gainesville. The new guy, Watson, is extremely familiar with, and we're going to get his perspective on it in a couple of moments because he's from in and around the Cookeville, Tennessee area. But first, let's listen in to a little bit of what Billy Napier had to say earlier today.
People in Louisiana think so highly of you, what you did with the Raging Cajuns and whatnot, and certainly your name was mentioned with the LSU job. What would you tell people out there who are going to compare you and Brian Kelly and the success you have and that whole narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian's an unbelievable coach. Got nothing but respect for him, nothing but respect for LSU. So, you know, I'm focused on the University of Florida, you know, and we've put together a great group of people. I'm thankful for the belief the administration had in our plan, you know, and the vision that we have for what we can do for the Gators. But I would tell you this, I am so appreciative of the experience I had in that state, you know, in Lafayette, right? I mean, unbelievable experience. The people, the community, certainly the staff, and most importantly, the players.
Coach, what aspects of building Louisiana in year one are you applying to building Florida in year one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, you know, there's a lot of common ground. You know, each one of these teams, I mean, I think each year is a little bit different, but year one, you're learning your place, right? You're learning how to present your product. You're learning the community, the administration, the players. I mean, there's so many people that contribute to your team. So that's where we're at the University of Florida, and I feel like looking back was very similar at UL. You know, and every day there's a problem to solve, right? And I think that just goes with year one. I often would say year one is like giving a year of your life away, you know, because each day, man, there's just a handful of things that continue to pop up. So we're work in progress, much like we were year one there. We've got a lot of work to do to improve, but I'm confident we've got the resources and the people to do that.
What's the most important thing you learned under Nick Saban at Alabama?
Well, I think defining expectations. You know, I think he's got a really good understanding of all the different parts of the organization, you know, and it's his way, right? So he's very methodical. He has his way of doing things, his systems. He defines expectations. He's consistent. He's fair. And then, you know, I just think overall a very disciplined person, you know, in terms of how he uses his time. Phenomenal leader, always very well prepared, and really always evolving, you know, willing to adjust, willing to adapt, always quality control in everything that we did. And, you know, we take much of the same approach in how we operate.
Coach, in the aisle to the right, fourth row.
Jamal Kennedy, WSFA 12 News in Montgomery. Coming from the Sun Belt Conference, you know the line of coaches that have come out of there recently. Could you sort of speak to the strength of that conference and sort of where they might sit among the G5s there?
Yeah, you know, the proof's in the pudding. You know, I can specifically remember just looking back at notes from previous years, you know, the Power 5 wins, the bowl record versus other Group of 5 conferences, the non-conference record when playing other Group of 5 teams. And then I think, you know, Carl Benson did a phenomenal job when he made the decision to go to, okay, these 10 East-West divisions, the championship game, you know, I just hit that thing just right. But, you know, I think that league is in the SEC footprint. It's Texas to the Carolinas. The talent pool is there. I think the administration's made commitment. They've added a handful of teams and kind of, branched out a little bit, but it's a great league with quality personnel and quality coaches.
So, Florida coming off a 6-7 year where people thought they were going to be a whole lot better than this. Watson, he had the benefit of a great running quarterback at Lafayette in Levi Lewis, where there were times that Lewis was allowed to take over a game, and in the Sun Belt, he could make that work. I don't see that being the case in the SEC.
I won't be that drastic with it. I think his style of play is physical football first, George, and they'll run the ball well when he gets it going. He's not a pass first guy, but he's a very physical thinking guy. He just don't think you can win without physicality, and so I think he's a good fit for Florida. He's not dynamic in the way he speaks or the way he does things. He's kind of a CEO that doesn't care to be out front. That's kind of his personality, but he will have his thumb right on everything. All these Saban guys all come out kind of the same way. Did you watch him use his hands? And
it was
Nick Saban's hands. I mean, it's exactly what he does.
That's so true.
I'm sitting there saying, my gracious, these guys just, and how many of them are around? There's Georgia and Florida right there too that have worked with Coach Saban. He will do good. I'm not sure it's going to be immediate. I'm not sure Florida will be great this year. And their quarterback Richardson, I saw his stats this morning. He only threw for 500 and something yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young guy with inexperience. They got to open with Utah. It is in the swamp, but their schedule is tough.
Okay, hold on. Let's take a look at that, because in a league that loves to basically play cupcakes in the opening week, this is Urban Meyer's old schools, Utah, Florida. Utah is really well coached. Watson, they're the last people on earth I'd want to play in that deal.
No, that's not a good start. And they're physical. They're a very physical football team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They start with running the ball and play defense. So he's going to have to win that game. And that will be a tough one. At Tennessee, Georgia, the neutral site, at Texas A&M, at Florida State. Look at the difference in the ats on this schedule compared to the one we just looked at with Georgia.
I look at those first three games. If he starts 3-0 and then you set up a road game in Knoxville against Tennessee with that atmosphere and that hype, who knows? I mean, Utah and Kentucky are tough, but if he finds a way to make it to 3-0 before that Tennessee game, that's a pretty damn good start to the season.
I wouldn't bet the house on coming out of that 3-0.
Me neither, but there's the hope.
And the way I've been doing,
I just don't think Florida's Florida, guys. I don't think Florida's Florida. I don't think they're as good as they've been.
Watson, George said yes. George said something yesterday that made me laugh. We were talking about Florida last night and how we think Billy Napier is going to do well there, but George said, I mean, yeah, it's hard. You got all that talent down there. It's hard to screw it up.
Long term.
Long term, yeah.
It is.
I thought that was a true statement, though.
That's a great comment, because to me, it's one of the best jobs in the SEC by far. And Steve Spurrier made it that way. I think his job that he did there, the greatness of what he did, has been multiplied by the guys after him, because for some reason, guys, it just has not happened. Why is that? Is it because Georgia has risen like they have? That's a big piece of it, in my opinion. And Dan Mullen basically got fired. If you remember, guys, George, right before the half, he made some bad decisions against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad. He was in the lead. and just, man, that went flying apart at that point. The second half was awful, and really the rest of the season was awful. They got to get back up to Georgia, and the Florida people aren't going to be happy till they do. Good luck.
Well, Watson, let me ask you this one thing. The Florida people, the fan base, they want the old Spurrier fun and gun. And Billy Napier's not coming in, and he's not going to be that way. It just feels like, are they going to give him the right amount of time? Because his system works, but it's not the old Florida fun and gun.
Well, it's not just the on-field things, George, the Florida fans love. They loved his spunk, his ego, his personality. I mean, there's not many Steve Spurriers out there, and they just it's like Barry Switzer, man. It's hard to follow that, and so Billy will get it done if he gets a shot. I saw where he lost some kids in recruiting this year, and man, they're all over him about that. Billy is nothing like Steve. I mean, the personalities are totally different. Their coaching styles are totally different. If they're looking for Steve, Billy is not Steve. But Billy's a winner.
That's what Florida needed, though. I mean, I think a lot of Florida fans were sick and tired of Dan Mullen and the personalities of those kinds of players. But to an extent, those are the kinds of players you're going to get at Florida. I mean, can you help it?
Well,
you're going to get great players. Now, personalities you get to pick. It can be there's 5 great players in this one position you want. You get to pick the one you want that's got the personality you want. So I put that on the coach. You bring in the wrong personalities, it can be a rotten apple in a barrel, and it could get the whole team if you're not careful.
I'm laughing because in the background I'm hearing Spurrier throw out that whole you can't spell citrus without a U and a T. Do you remember when he came with that one?
What a comment.
God.
That's Spurrier.
Oh, my. Okay, what do you got there?
George, we got to get to the sponsor here for the Gators, FY2 Fitness. If we can get this shown here, George. There it is. FY2 Fitness is family-owned and operated here in Sumner County. We're not here in Sumner County, over in Sumner County. Their focus is helping people develop better habits for health and fitness training. Visit fy2fitness.com. They strongly believe that if you practice healthy habits, you will be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Again, visit fy2fitness.com for more information.
Circle that Florida-Utah game at the very beginning. That is a really tough opener. Whoever scheduled that one might want to rethink it. When we come back, we'll talk a little Big Blue. All of a sudden, Kentucky football matters. It used to be hoops, then Keeneland, then football. That has changed. You're watching Main Street Media Television.
How do you measure success? In points? In wins? Or trophies? At Shelter Insurance, we measure success in the quality of our products and services, in our community support, in being there when you need us most. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, see agents Jim Pratt or Heather Clifton in Dixon.
At Porter Brothers LLC, we look forward to discussing your plans, resolving concerns, and making improvements to the comfort, health, and efficiency of your home. With the right system operating at its best, you save money, better enjoy the living environment, and increase the value of your investment. We handle all makes and models for seasonal HVAC maintenance and repairs and offer free estimates on replacements. Call us today at 615-446-8067. 615-446-8067.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
As a two-term county commissioner, we built the County Justice Center and the Burns Middle School, all while maintaining a budget surplus. We were able to secure additional funding for all of the volunteer fire departments to get the vital equipment that they need to do their job. I fought on the front lines in Iraq. With your vote, I'll fight on the front lines in our community to give you a voice. Let's do this together.
Paid for by Jeff Eby for State Representative, District 69.
Area 51 Tech Solutions is focused on expert service with quality parts at an affordable price. Their passion is custom-built gaming desktop computers, virtual reality setups, and gadgets, but they also specialize in servicing and repairing all major brands of electronics, including computers, tablets, cell phones, HD TVs, and game consoles. Based in Dixon, they service Middle Tennessee from Clarksville to Murfreesboro and Portland to Columbia. Call them today at 615-379-8113 or visit area51tex.com.
When you think about buying a new or pre-owned car, you might immediately feel anxious about pushy sales staff and being forced into a decision that might not be the right one for you. Our team at Steve Jones Automotive in Dixon is nothing like that. We want to help you find the perfect car, not just the first car you test drive. When you visit our dealership, you'll also see the pricing up front without having to haggle or ask for a special discount. We want to earn your business for life. Come experience the progressive car buying experience with no pressure at Steve Jones Automotive in Dixon, Tennessee, just a short drive from Nashville and the surrounding area.
Founded in 2005, Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, has a reputation of consistently offering the lowest possible rates and, above all, providing outstanding customer service. Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, takes pride in treating our clients with honesty and integrity. We provide excellent service and experience you can trust for all your mortgage needs, proudly serving all of Tennessee. Apply today. Call Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, 858-518-1506, or online at www.firstlendingonline.com.
NMLS number 314276, ID 135932.
Are back. Let's check in for our daily visit with Brian Stewart. A little one-shop realty, one-stop. I just turned it into a different
One
name.
shop.
That's
Oh my gosh.
That's awful.
We've been with them the past 2 weeks, George.
Brian, put tape over my mouth. What in the
What?
world?
Yeah, Watson, can you take over for that? Just, that's wow.
Just there's certain times you just need to go buying, Brian, and just I deal with this all the time, so just jump into the family, baby.
I hear you. I can tell.
Would you like to give the name of your company properly?
Yes, it is One Stop Realty in Hendersonville. We are a one-stop shop, though, George, because we do offer commercial, residential, property management, and coming up at the end of the month, we're going to have auctions coming in. So I feel like we can meet all the needs for anybody looking for real estate in Middle Tennessee.
Brian, talk to me about auctions. I don't pretend to know anything about how that operates, but with the housing market as crazy as it is right now, it's not a bad option.
No, it's really not, George. And more often than not, whenever I look on what we call the hot sheets on our MLS, it basically gives us an updated list of new homes and properties that are hitting the market every day. And more often than not, when I look at this list, it has the little hammers on there. A lot of people are turning to auction. That's one of the main reasons I went and found an agent that wanted to become an auctioneer, and we are starting that up. We're working on our new logo, our new updated logo, to add in the auction. We just feel like with this market and how it's turned with interest rates going up and with inflation and everything else, we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve for our clients and giving them that option to where they can come in and say, hey, look, I need something to sell quick. I need my cash quick. How fast can we get this done? An auction basically gives them the ability to do that in one day, to sell their home, we do all the auction is on site. The buyers come out, they sign up. Whenever they get signed up, they make their bids, and whoever has the highest bid, everybody knows that's who walks away with the home.
Brian, tell people how they can reach you.
It is a cell phone for me is 615-440-7011. The office number is 615-822-0750. And you can find us on the internet at onestoprealtytn.com, on Facebook, and at Instagram.
I'm going to memorize the name tonight. I'm going to sit around for the next 20 hours and get it right.
George, I feel like it shouldn't be too hard to memorize with the number one and stop. But, hey, if I need to send cue cards to you for next week, whatever we need to do, man, Watson and I have your back no matter what.
Watson does not have my back. Trust me.
Okay, me and Billy then. Sorry.
Brian, you take care. So, Watson, 2 other teams hit the podium today. We're going to sort of bypass, not on purpose, Kentucky, but our coverage next week will get fairly knee-deep into Kentucky. Suffice it to say that what Mark Stoops has done in Lexington is incredible. In the last 6 years, a pair of 7 victory seasons, an 8-win total, 2 different 10-victory seasons, a couple of New Year's Day bowl games. I mean, this used to be behind Keeneland Racetrack in importance in Lexington. I mean, what he's done is incredible.
Yes, no doubt. I don't think you can give him enough credit for what he's done. He did it all. He basically came in and had to do it all, George. The facility I've talked about before, it's gorgeous. And that was the start of it to me. And he got all of that done, put it together. Everybody got behind him, built it. And then he's carried it in with better players. And they do have much better players. And they've coached them very well. They don't ever coach themselves out of games. That's what I've noticed about them. You've got to beat Kentucky. And their players are getting good enough now. It's hard to do.
Watson, look at that schedule again, because you've harped on schedule.
Yep.
3 of their first 4, Miami of Ohio, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, all at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington. That's the way you got to do it if you're Kentucky.
Absolutely. That's exactly what you do. They're all in Lexington, and he'll be favored in the Florida game. He'll be 1-0 going to the Florida game, and then he's going to win the next 2 at home. And that's a good schedule. It is not just fantastic at the ats. I think at Tennessee, at Ole Miss, at Florida is not easy, but Florida's not the old Florida right now. And Ole Miss and Tennessee are hard wins.
Trust me when I tell you we are not finished with Kentucky, and next week you will know that. Give me a little Wildcat stuff.
George, Kentucky is sponsored by Woodman Life Insurance. Woodman Life has been helping to protect the financial future of families, making a difference in hometowns across America in honoring our country since 1890. You can contact Logan Piper today at 615-587-6842. That's 615-587-6842. Go contact Woodman Life Insurance.
By the way, Watson, Tony Neely, the fine sports information director at the University of Kentucky, said to say hello to you.
Oh, isn't he a neat guy?
Yeah.
He was a kid when I was around him, and now I'm proud of him, George. He's done he's done well, moved up the ladder.
Coach Newton knew what he was doing when he took him to Lexington.
No doubt.
Okay, final team we're going to talk about today. And by the way, tomorrow's a big final day because the Big Orange comes to town, and we'll have a lot of coverage of that. So be ready when our show starts tomorrow at 4. Arkansas, this has been one of the really pleasant surprises in the SEC. Sam Pittman has done a terrific job there. Billy, before we roll the tape, talk.
George, Arkansas is brought to us by Premier Woodworks. As I get to that read, good job, George, staying ahead of the game. Premier Woodworks. They are a small custom construction company based out of Gallatin, Tennessee. They specialize in all things woodworking, from outdoor living spaces, pool houses, custom kitchen, bath, and whole home remodels to furniture and everything in between. They are your one-stop shop for making everything custom. They are more than happy to make your dreams and unique ideas become reality. They've done it for so many, so how about you? They can be reached at 615-218-6378. That's 615-218-6378, or find them on Facebook at Premier Woodworks on Facebook.
Arkansas was one of the real pleasant surprises a year ago at 9-4. And given a little bit of family background, my dad grew up in Little Rock. I know a lot about the pride that state takes in Arkansas Razorback football. Sam Pittman, not the flashiest name when he got hired a few years ago, but boy, what a job he has done in Fayetteville. He took the podium earlier today, and here's part of what he had to say.
Your team took such a big leap forward last year. Do you feel like, moving forward, it's going to be any more difficult to keep that sustained success, knowing that you're not going to sneak up on anyone?
Yeah, I think, I think it's going to be, any team, most any team in our league, it's hard to stay consistent with 9 wins, I'm not for sure we snuck up on anybody. We went to Georgia and they beat us 37-0. They kind of were ready for us. I think you just go compete. And I think in this league, I think everybody knows that you better play well no matter who. And it doesn't matter. I remember when we were at Georgia, we were playing some of the other teams that may not be quite as good as we were at the time. And, you go in at half and you're either behind or it's a close game. Yes, to answer your question, it's hard. And it's hard to go from 6 wins to 9. It's certainly harder to go from 9 to each win you go up is harder, and it's harder to maintain. And especially in the SEC, and no disrespect to the East, especially in the SEC West. And then they had a college football playoff team and a BYU who's 21-4 over the last 2 years and been waiting to the top 20. You got yourself a schedule. So, listen, I love it at Arkansas. I'm not complaining one bit about it. We're you versus Arkansas, we'll go compete.
Coach, the win over Texas last year, I think it stunned some people in college football. Not just that your team won, but how you controlled that football game and the way that you beat Texas. What do you remember of that game and the significance of that win going forward?
I remember how well our defense played. They were flying around. They had a great tailback, and there just wasn't anywhere where to go. And I remember we started dominating up front on the offensive line. Everything seemed to be going right. I remember telling the coaches at halftime, if we can just hold on to the ball, they can't score. And we go out, we throw a pick. Now, it was a great pick by the DB at Texas, and they went in and scored against us. The great thing about that is we went down the field and answered maybe 2 or 3 times in a row after that. Rushed for over 300 yards. That's our ball. Now, there's games when we don't rush for that, but that's what we're trying to accomplish. That's how we win games, physicality of the offensive line, running backs, and certainly our quarterback. So at the end of the game, I remember the police officers telling me we can't go shake hands because the crowd's going to go crazy out here. It's going to be unsafe. I said, well, I'm damn sure going to go shake the man's hand. And we did. And I'm here, so it must have been okay.
Here is a little bit of what Sam Pittman was talking about with that schedule. Let's take a look at it. So they open Labor Day weekend Saturday against the University of Cincinnati. Now, fortunately in Fayetteville, but then at BYU, a very dangerous Liberty, Watson, that is not necessarily a recipe for success.
No, that's tough schedule. That is a very tough schedule. It'll be hard for them to win 9 again, but I'm telling you, he's infectious. I don't know Sam. He's one of the few that I haven't met, but I love listening to him. Everything he throws out there ends in positives. He throws the reality out there, but it ends in a positive. And you can just tell his teams are going to jump in your face, and they ain't going to, you better beat them because they're going to be there. They're going to be there through the whole thing. We won a lot of games that way last year, George, in my opinion, by being there, hanging around, keep smacking you. And then all of a sudden at the end, they win the games.
There's a pride that's back there. That's the thing I've noticed.
And he's brought it. I listened to part of his deal today, and one of the first things he said is, one of our biggest goals is to make the state of Arkansas proud. And I've always said, if you're in that state, you should be thinking about that state. And don't miss players in that state, and make people proud of you in your state. And I've been at a lot of private schools. I've also been at state schools, and all the state schools I was at, I always felt that way. And when he said that, I said, that's it right there. He's not going to put a team out there that's they're not thinking about. They're going to represent the state of Arkansas, and they'll do it right.
Billy, go back real quickly to that schedule, because there's a 3-week murderer's row. Neutral site game in Arlington against A&M, then home against Alabama, and then on the road at Mississippi State. Watson, without a bye week in there, man, that is a tough 21 days.
Yeah, that's that. And complete different styles is the other thing to me. The physicality of A&M and Alabama, then you turn around and you're playing Mike Leach offense. I mean, that's a good pickup there, George. That's a tough stretch, man.
Yep. Billy, anything more you need to say?
That's pretty much it, George. We're almost done here. We've got
I wish we were done.
no bet of the day today.
Yes, thank God. I guess we'll review last night. I'm hacked off. The National League should have won. They're in Dodger Stadium. They got Clayton Kershaw starting, but one of their own, Tony Goslin, took the gas in the 4th inning, and because of that, I'll be taking the gas when we look at the graphic here in just a minute. So, bitter as I may be, the Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next. This is Main Street Media Television.
How do you measure success? In points? In wins? Or trophies? At Shelter Insurance, we measure success in the quality of our products and services, in our community support, in being there when you need us most. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, see agents Jim Pratt or Heather Clifton in Dixon.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Don't overpay for your next home entertainment system. Visit the folks that have been selling, installing, and repairing TVs, stereos, and more for the last 40 years. Denton's, the TV store in Dixon, has the largest selection of high-end TVs on display. Denton specializes in professionally designed unique TV, audio, and video systems for the whole house, man cave, or outdoor space. Stop by in the Dixon Plaza across from Kroger or call 615-446-2222. Denton's, the TV store. It's in the name.
At Redbird Realty, we are committed to providing you with the highest quality service in not only finding your cherished home, but also a wise investment. With over 27 years experience in the real estate industry, we offer high quality service and we treat our clients the way that we would like to be treated. When you're ready, we would appreciate the opportunity to learn more about your real estate needs and answer any questions you may have. Call us at 615-476-2879. 615-476-2879.
With 14 locations across Tennessee, family-owned Fast Stop Markets knows you need simple. The one-stop shop for fuel, food, and more now offers Fast Stop Perks, an easy-to-sign-up rewards program that turns your purchases into points that you can spend like cash. You can also win prizes, join clubs, and save big. Get your Fast Stop Perks card at checkout or download the Fast Stop Perks app to start earning your points today. Fast Stop Markets, keeping you moving.
C&K Forklift Repair understands that a non-working forklift puts a hold on your team's ability to do its job. Our certified technicians work quickly and efficiently 24 hours a day to repair and provide maintenance on your forklift using only high-quality replacement parts. With over 15 years' experience, C&K Forklift Repair also provides training and instruction for forklift operators covering all of Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. Give us a call, 615-651-2735.
State Farm Agency Micah Blunt is proud to bring you live coverage from SEC Media Days. Micah was born and raised in Tennessee and takes pride in providing the highest degree of protection for all customers. State Farm offers auto, home, and life insurance at the price you can afford. Located in Dixon, Tennessee, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Give Micah and his team a call today to help with all of your insurance needs. Serving all of Tennessee, call 615-229-2999. That's 615-229-2999.
This is one of the few days of the year where there really is not a sporting event going, with the Major League Baseball break and the WNBA, I think, having played a game earlier today. There is nothing on the slate. For some, that's bad news. For me, thank God. Watson, I am so bitter about last night. I did not deserve an L.
Oh, give me a break. Hey, Coach, they didn't get a hit after the second inning. I mean, that game could have been a lot worse than it was. They couldn't get the ball out of the infield.
Pitiful.
I mean, the National League could not hit the ball. The American League pitching was unbelievable.
I blame it on the Dodgers. Tony Gonsolin, who had this gaudy, 10-0 or 11-0 record, he comes in the fourth inning. Clayton Kershaw, being the pro that he is, did his job, got a scoreless inning. National League got up 2-0, and then Tony Gonsolin took the gas. I'm bitter.
Well, then all those hitters took the gas too. Isn't it amazing how still to this day, great pitching beats great hitting?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't change.
And it always will.
Man, there was some live arms pitching in that thing last night, both sides.
You know what also never changes? George struggling in bet of the day. He is 2-5 so far.
Let me tell you what
2-5
does. The chancellor calls you in for a meeting at 2-5 and says, things better pick up in the next couple of weeks or we may get a little search committee.
2-5, Billy. That face, if that keeps going to 2-6, 2-7, 2-8, that face on the left's going to age a bunch.
I need to show a different headshot of George.
You're going to have to change it out.
How embarrassing if this goes to like 2-12.
Oh, man. It won't. You know what? You're going to find a bunch of easy games when it starts back.
So you think I'll take Verlander against the Vancouver Grizzlies? Or
absolutely you will.
It's not a bad idea. Listen, we've had fun today. Tennessee will be front and center stage tomorrow, as will our coverage of the Big Orange. Watson, we'll do it again tomorrow from Hotlanta, GA.
See you. Y'all have fun.
You as well. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We will be back with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Same time, same place.
Main Street Media, live from SEC Media Days in Atlanta, is presented by Shelter Insurance of Dixon and Jim Pratt and Heather Clifton. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And in part by Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, Steve Jones Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat, Jeff Eby for State Representative, Red Bird Realty, Porter Brothers HVAC LLC, Area 51 Tech Solutions, Micah Blunt State Farm Agency, Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint, Denton's The TV Store, Fast Stop Markets of Middle Tennessee, C&K Forklift Service and Repair, First Lending Solutions and Pam Witt, and by the Roxy 8 Theater of Dixon.